So fret friends, new one on the bench just come in, and I do believe we have a Squier Classic Vibe late 50s Jazzmaster. It's a two colour sunburst with an anodised scratch plate, pick guard, whatever you want to call it. Beautiful thing. I love these guitars. Picking it up straight away, feel the neck, you feel the width and the size of the neck, you're thinking, oh, this is really nice. And it's coming for a setup. There's also a bit of fretboard, so the guy says he might need some fret work doing. And straight away I said to him, we're probably going to have to shim this neck because your brake angle was far too low on there. He was going to say exactly the same, so we're in total agreement. I did recommend we could look at upgrading the bridge, but this is an upgraded version on the Squier Classic Vibe. In as much as the radius is already set on there, so all we have to do is set the intonation and the height. I would like to see a much better brake angle on there than that. It's virtually nothing. He says when you get up this end you're popping off the bridge, which we all know about. So we are going to place a cheese wedge type shim, high part toward the body, finished part toward the neck. I'm going to hand make that using a piece of veneer. I've got some maple veneer. I will hand make that using my belt sander. So in fact I'm going to make a couple because I've got another one of these to do as well. It's going to want exactly the same thing. So cost wise, really hard to cost this one up because I don't know what fretwork it needs yet, if any at all. So I said I'll leave costing it up until I've done the full appraisal. So same old with this. It's going to need a setup. The nut slots aren't low enough. Frets I've not checked yet. Pickups will be fine. Electric should all be fine. Bridge we can't do anything with. As long as we get the right brake angle on there, we're going to be okay. But it's something that Squier need to look at, because it is an ongoing problem. And why are you knocking out guitars with the same problem year after year after year without doing anything about it, is my question. So I'm going to plug this in, have a little play, have a little tinker about, and once that's done, we'll get the strings off, we'll get the neck dead straight, and we'll have a look at the frets and see where we are in regard to the frets. So that's about it for now. Back soon. Okay, so I've appraised the guitar. The intonation was all over the place and we couldn't get it right, and that's because of the brake angle and how low the strings were to the tremolo. There's nowhere near enough brake angle, so I had to raise the bridge. Now raising the bridge enabled me to set the intonation correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to shim the neck. Once the neck is shimmed, we're going to have to raise the bridge again just a little, which is going to give us a better brake angle over the bridge, which is going to alleviate any of the intonation problems we had. I had to alter a few of the saddles quite a bit to get the intonation right, and with the bridge so low it wasn't getting anywhere near close. Now we have got the intonation set perfectly. So checked over the guitar, take my strings off. I've already ascertained we need to recut the nut slots. That's something we're going to do pretty much toward the end. Just been over the frets with a fret rocker. We have 10 high frets, so we have no choice but to fret level, which is going to take the price up quite a bit. A fret level with a complete setup is now £135. The shim, I think I'm going to make him a shim for nothing. I might charge a £5 for it. I should be charging 20 quid maybe for the shim. I'm going to charge him £5 for the shim. So I'm going to take the price up to £140 all done. The bridge, I hate it. These move too much. You can get an improved bridge with rubber grommets on the outside of these posts, which hold it in tight rather than leaving it loose like that. These move too easily, especially with the brake angle as it is. I'm hoping that with the brake angle a fair bit higher, this is not going to wobble so much, and we can set it in the centre. But I'm not a fan of these. They need to redesign this bridge and make it better. We also need to redesign the angle of the neck so we can get a much better brake angle, or we need to install a roller bar somewhere around here before the tremolo, so you can at least get a good brake angle on the bridge to stop the strings slipping out when you pluck hard. This is why we have to shim the neck. Like, it can't just be a flat shim, it's got to be a tapered cheese wedge type. It's got to be thick at one end and nothing at the other, or more or less nothing at the other, so it's able to tilt the neck backwards, thus enabling us to heighten the bridge later on to get that brake angle that we need. So checking the frets over, got the neck dead straight, or as straight as it will go. We never go perfectly straight, but I've got it as close as I can to perfect straightness. I'm just going to check again. Feed over the frets with the fret rocker. That is beautiful. So fret locker, we've got a couple just on the edge, like that one. Don't know if you can hear it from where you are. It's a 4th one, 5th, really high there, 6th, 7th, 8th, really high, 9th, 10th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, sorry, because there's 2 bits on that, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 high frets. So we are going to fret level. We're going to have to do the whole lot. I'm going to spot level this one, which means I don't have to touch any again till the 7th, which means I don't have to remove a nut. I can just remove the neck, get it bolted to a piece of MDF, and I can just basically level all these with a file, finish with a radius beam. So it's not going to take too much of my time, but once they're level, we've obviously got to recrown and polish them up. Once that's done, we'll cut a shim. We'll make a shim ready to fit the neck pocket. I'm not really going to charge them. I'm going to charge a fiver, which is nothing. I should be charging, I don't know, 20, 25 quid. But I'm not going to do that in this case because there's a lot of other work done. The bridge, myself personally, I would go and buy a stay trend version myself. We can get this working, it will be fine, it will be good enough. It's just Squier need to take a look at this system and maybe update it, or definitely update it, I think. So I'm going to crack on. I'm going to get my neck ready for these frets, leveling. I've let the owner know most things. I'm not letting him know about the frets yet, but he's quite happy with the way I'm going forwards at the moment. So I'm sure everything will be fine. Once I talk to him, we're going to crack on and get these frets levelled. Back with the Jazzmaster. I'm just about to level the frets. What I need to do first is make sure that the neck is dead straight, which it is. I've got some good cushioning below the guitar neck, so as if I tap the frets in, you're not going to mark the neck of the guitar. And I am going to tap all of the frets to just make sure that everything is seated correctly. Paying attention to what the key I made the other day. I remember fret number 3 was area 1, which is here. So we're just going to, with the neck support, we're just going to tap that in, grab a fret rocker. I'm just going to check that fret again. And that is not high, like it said it was before. We're still going to level the frets anyway. The next one was fret 7, area 1. So 3, 6, 7, area 1. We're just going to see if we can get 5 or 6 of these to seat. We won't have to do a complete fret level. We'll just have to do the frets that are high. So that's good so far. 3, 6, 7. Good thing about it is it saves Alex money and it saves me time. Maybe the frets are just not seated correctly. You see? Fret 8 in the middle. 8 in the middle. So that's not playing high now. I'm just using nylon side, I don't want to knock anything out of whack. Fret 9 was area 2, well, fret 8 was area 1, sorry, so that was up here. And that's fine. 9 area 2. Make sure we have the support under the neck, so this area here. Still high. So we are going to have to go with a intensive setup, but not a complete fret level. Just going to check back these frets. That's what I'm thinking anyway. If we get it down to less than 5 frets, 5 or less. Okay, so 9, number 11, areas 1 and 3. Before you do a fret level, always check that the frets are tapped in all the way before you go charging someone for a fret level. There you go, that one's gone in. Now number 10's a little bit high. 10's a little bit high in the middle, so we are still going to have to do some of the frets. There's a problem, if you knock one fret, it's going to alter the next fret along. Looking at area 1. Yeah, that match topping's going to not seat that, I don't think. In the middle, I believe, yes. So this is knocked him down considerably from a £135 fret level. We're now going to do an £85 intensive setup. We still need to level some of the frets, but I'll spot level them. 15 area 1, yeah, that's high. Sure Alex would please just save 50 quid just by tapping these frets down. I will let them settle for half an hour, then I'll go across with the fret rocker again and see how many we need to do. That's pretty good. 16 area 2. Yeah, we're not going to tap that one down. I'll take that for nothing. So that needs work, and on this edge. 17, 18, 19, 20, area 1. That's pretty good. So we have got downgraded from, that one's high now, a fret level to an intensive setup. The price difference is £50. So I've saved Alex from some money there, I've saved him 50 quid there. I'm going to do a spot level. So any frets I need to work on, I'm going to just file that in that direction. It's going to be less than 5. I think I've got 4 frets to work on rather than the 10 because some have tapped back into place. So that's it. We're just doing an intensive setup on this and save you guys some money, save me some time. And we're not cutting corners, by the way. It doesn't necessitate there being a complete fret level. If it's less than 5 frets, I can do it all by spot leveling. Anyway, let's settle for 10 minutes. I'm going to come back with a fret rocker and we're going to check all of the frets again. So I've been and hammered all the frets down. I've gone across with a fret rocker again. I've got us down to 6 high frets. It's still, I still charge for a complete fret level if it's more than 5 frets. But what I'm going to do in this instance is if I can get these just by spot leveling these 5, because there's so little on there, if I can get away with just spot leveling all of these, I'm going to knock him the 50 quid off. I'm going to charge him the 85 quid. Then I'm going to charge 20-25 quid for the shim I'm having to make from scratch. And I'm going to go and buy tools, not tools to do it, I'm going to buy some more sandpaper to do it, sandpaper belt. And I've got to actually make it, cut it and what have you. I'm just going to go across the frets again. Taking my time, making sure everything is level. For the sake of 1 extra fret, it seems daft to charge someone £50 extra. If there was 8 or 9 frets needed leveling, then yeah. So there's the first one. But there's 6. And I've checked these thoroughly. Listen. That was quite high, so that's 2. 3, 4. So I've got 4 high frets. I will always try and save you money if I can. 5, same one. 6. So we do have 6 high frets. Check these last couple. Now, in a way, this makes it more difficult for me because I'm having to spot level. By spot level, instead of going across the whole lot in that direction and having to recram a lot, I'm going to level that way with a file, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. It's much better to show you than it is to explain to you. Now, this only comes after years of honing your skills and practicing. It's not something you can do. Well, saying that, I could do it straight away. I picked it up straight away. So you can be fortunate enough and be blessed enough to be able to do this straight away. But what you need is a dead flat file, and I've got my number 4 cut Swiss file by Valorbe here. It's super sharp. But what I need to do with this is just file one way. And just remove this edge here where it's high. And so I'm going to take the file now. I should tape this up so I don't scratch the fingerboard, but I'm good enough to not slip with the file. So I'm just going to go, and I can see with the pen there how much I've removed. I'm just going to check I've removed enough, and I have. And I'll check one back. That's altered the one next to it. So the one next to it is now high because I removed material from there. So I'll give that just a little zing there. And that should bring it all back into kilter. Just a little bit there. This is a problem, you see, when you spot level. If I alter one, it's going to alter the ones next to it, or it can alter the relationship next to it. So what I'm going to do is, that's fine now, that's fine, and that's fine. That's that one done. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my profiling file. I'm not going to go with my StreamBack file. I'm just going to take my profiling file. It's a diamond file, and all I'm going to do is just scoot this edge, just to take that flatness out and give you that little bit of crown back. And then the one next to it. I'm just going to check them again. Fine, fine, fine. And that's it, so it's that one done. So I'm going to show you exactly how I spot level. And when I get to near the body, it's going to be more difficult. This is why sometimes I take the neck off and bolt it to a piece of scrap wood, normally a piece of 30mm thick MDF, which I do have, which I will be doing. It just makes the job easier for me. So this one, I'm going to check this one. Let's go back to where we were. We had number 7, didn't we? Which was that one. It's now fine, both sides. So number 9 here. Just in the middle section, or what I like to call section 2. So again, taking my flat file and just working in one direction. This is a 2-way file, by the way, it cuts both ways. Just working. I kind of know how it should feel, so I'll just let the file find the radius itself. And it should slide across once it's found its level. Still high. It's got a high spot right in the middle. I've eyeballed where that high spot is. It's right there. Either so, the full thickness of my finger, that's where the high spot is. So I'm just going to again, because it will find the radius. I can see that's been working there. And we've got it. Now we're going to check one back, check one forward, and that's not altered the relationship of the frets next to it, but we have now still a little bit high there. Again, right on this spot. We are getting there. Still a nudger high. This is spot leveling. It's leveling in one direction so we don't alter or scratch into the frets next to it. And that is it, we've done it. So we're going to check one forward one back. Just slightly altered the ones next to them again, so in effect, where I'm doing 5 or 6, I'm actually doing 10 or 11 again. But we'll get there doing it this way. But this is saving the punter 50 quid. So let's check the fret was levelled. It's now level. Check one back. Got a tiny high spot there, which I'll sort out in a minute. And that's good. So that's that one done. Just got this little spot just to check here. Very, very small bit high. Just going to give it that, and that should be enough. It's not my preferred method, spot leveling, because it takes a lot more work on my part. I've got to be a lot more clinical. And it can, like I say, if I remove material from this one fret, it's going to alter the relationship with these two. That becoming lower could make these too high. So it's not always a preferred method. We can do it if we want to save the client some money and get the job done quicker, that's fine. This was to save the client some money and to get the job done quicker. Now you've got to be really skilled to be able to pull this off. But we're done. It's fantastic. Look, we've got that. So we've got number 7 done, number 9 done. Next one we've got number 13. Again, this is quite a lot high in a few areas, but not so much there. So again, spot leveling. I've tapped it in a good few times with the hammer. It will not seat correctly. So again, we're going to go with the file. I'm feeling for the radius while I'm using the file. I'm letting the file do the work. I'm letting the fret find the level. That was pretty good. That's that one done. So let's check back one. Really good. That's fabulous. Check forward one. So a little bit on that edge now. We knew that one was high anyway. So this one, number 14, same thing. Same two areas. I'm getting very close to the body now, so I'm going to start being a little bit more careful. Just checking the file. Making sure I've got flat side. That's very good. Check one back again. Check one forward. And they are both done super. So spot leveling can be really good sometimes. And if we can do just a spot level, we will do that, we'll go that route. If there were more than 6 frets, if we got to 7, I would just spot level them. I'd have just leveled the whole lot and charged for a full fret level. So there, we've saved the client some money. We've saved me 2-3 hours of extra work. Always clean the file, by the way. Saved me 2 or 3 hours extra work. Saved the client 50 quid. Well, I've saved him 40 quid because I'm going to charge him a tenner for tapping all these frets in. And I've got a shim to make and that later. But there you go, we've saved the client a lot of money there. We're going to check these frets just again, just let them settle. So remember we did number 7, so we'll check again. Still showed a little bit high right on that edge, it wasn't a minute ago. Sometimes it could be how you angle the fret rocker. That one, just another little nip there. And this is a problem with spot leveling, you see. It's not as meticulous and not as trustworthy as a full fret level. Right, now we're level, and we're level there. And number 9. Very good. Did we say number 12 and number 13 next? Still a tiny bit high on this edge here. Like I say, A lot more work goes into spot leveling. If I wasn't explaining what I was doing, I'd have this done by now, because I wouldn't have to explain anything. 13 still a little bit high in the middle. Nip across one just to check, back one just to check, so we're looking a lot better there. To do the other two, I'm going to have to turn the guitar around because I'm working far side. There's no way I can get a file in there without scraping into the body. So I'm going to take it from the far side because I can get in at that angle. Let's just check one more time. Press 12. Nice, so go back, just check 11. And just check 13 again. Because we've altered 13, let's just go up and check 14. So we have 4 frets spot leveled to perfection. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the guitar around 180 degrees. So bear with me while I do that. And 2 more to do. Actually, I'll nip to the toilet in a second. So these two, I'm doing the far end and the far end there. Now, if I'd tried to do it from that side, I wouldn't be able to get a file in because I wouldn't get the angle. But doing it from this side, I've got the angle to get the file in and not to still, again, not to scooch onto the guitar. So let's clean this files again. Going to work the furthest one first. Get the fret rocker. Now this, from this area right to the end, is going to need work. The end is really quite bad. The middle's not too bad. Yeah. Okay, quite uneven in a few places, so be careful again. Get the rag. Always take your time, because if you go too deep on this, you'll be doing the lot. It's pretty good apart from the end bit. Making sure not to go too far and jab into the guitar body, you don't want to do that. So that is pretty much where I want to be. Let's have a good check. Still high on that far edge. But everywhere else is fine. So check again where we're high. Right on the far side where the dip is. So we're going to go aim for that dip. Check again. And we are there. We are done. That's level. Taking profiling file again. Make sure we don't jab the guitar, so just nice, gentle strokes, let the file do the work. The file will do everything. And now let's go and check the fret again. That fret is now level, check one forwards. Beautiful, one back. That one's now high, so we're going to alter that one as well. It's a bit of a bind. So in effect, I've done, where I was doing 6, I've now done 9. And this is, again, it's the problem with spot leveling. Whenever this one's high. So in hindsight, you're probably going to be thinking, oh, you should have just done a complete level. Yeah, I should have done in hindsight, but I've saved the guy some money. I'll start checking these in a minute. I'm waiting for a client to come in. The second time he's not turned up if you don't turn up today. If you don't turn up twice, you don't get invited back. That's what it's got to be. So doing the same thing. Again, bear with me a second, just check the messages. It says he'll pay the extra £60, £50 if he needs to. Well, what a guy. I'm still going to stick to my plan of getting this spot level right. I think I can get it right doing it this way. Just checking we don't have a high spot here. Doesn't seem to be getting any better, does it? At least I've got a client that says, look, if it needs extra, spend the extra. He did say he was getting a lot of choking up this end. Right, that seems to have fixed that area. Again, there. If you want to make money, guys, don't concentrate on frets like I do. I'm all about frets and necks. There's no money in what I do because it's long-winded. Going at it a little bit more gung-ho now. Maybe I'll get a little impatient, I don't know. Just take your time. I think we're about there. And well done. Whew, that was more work than needed to do, but well, it wasn't. So this is the thing with spot leveling. You see, I've spot leveled 6 frets. I've actually worked on, I think I worked on 9 or 10, and that's the problem with spot leveling. Most people would have just said, just do a lot. Once I've got them recrowned, just do it like this. I'm going to check them again. All being well, will be good. So let's see where I was. I got number 18 was my last one, I believe. 16, 17, 18. So we're going to check 19. And we are done. Ah, still there. 16, number 15. Still a little bit on the edge there, look. Right. That's it, we are there. I'm still going to polish the frets, but not give them the full 6 grits of sandpaper treatment like I was going to have to. Just going to give these a regular polish just with some steel wool. They will wear into place, no problem. So that's it, that is the frets levelled. I say I had 6 to do, I've charged for 5. I've actually done 9. It makes more work for you. Now if you didn't have my experience, you'd probably really struggle with that. Every time you remove something from one, it alters another one. You're thinking, why not just scoop the lot? And you probably are better off just to scoop the lot. But in this case, I didn't have to. So that's all good. So that's the frets levelled. We're going to get them all polished up shortly. I've got a little scratch in my fingerboard. I did hit it slightly with the file. I'm going to polish that out or rip that out with just a little bit of steel wool. when I grabbed some, got some right here. That's why I covered the pickups and everything up. I've just realised, oh, at least you got everything on camera there. I forgot we're turning everything over and everything round, that it might be possible you might not have been seeing anything there. But fortunately, it was all on camera and you did get to see everything. So, let me just grab some steel wool. With all the pickups covered, you see, this is why I cover the pickups and the cavities and what have you, so we don't get any of this in there. Just going to polish out where I hit the fingerboard with the file. No one's going to notice that. And the frets are just going to be polished this way. I will use a fingerboard guard when I do this proper, but this will be good enough. So I'm going to check again. I'm going to turn the guitar around. I'm going to check the neck again. Make sure that go across all the frets with the fret rocker. If we've got them level along the whole length of the neck, and if we have, the job's a good one. I've got to be careful because the seal is quite low above the guitar. Right. That's just a bridge clattering there. So that's that. So I'm going to nip to a loo. When I come back, take a fret rocker, we're going to go across the frets again just to check that they're all level, and we can then crack on, get the fingerboard treated, get the frets polished, and get the guitar. We can't get it set up, can we? I've got to put a shim in the neck yet. Okay, you know where we are. So, ended up doing 9, but the frets are level. Just one more time. So we've saved the guy, well I went saving 50 quid, we saved him 40 because I ended up doing an extra 3, I put an extra £10 on top of an intensive setup. An intensive setup's 85 quid. So I've charged the test, it's 95 quid, whereas if I'd done a complete fret level, it would be 135 quid. Then I've still got to charge 20 quid for the shim on top. Now the shim I'm going to make myself out of some maple veneer. I've got to file it down into a cheese wedge shape, or sand it down. I've got to shape it, I've got to drill holes in it, and I'm going to make sure it fits the neck pocket. So again, I don't think that's expensive for a neck shim. But these frets are all bang on. We're level along the whole length of the neck now. Okay, I have, it's not so much a shortcut as, I've saved the guy some money. If I'd have been doing a complete fret level, I'd have levelled a lot, re-crammed a lot, then I'd had to re-polish with a lot, which would have been 6-7 different grits of sandpaper, which would have took me another 2-3 hours. So I've saved myself a couple of hours, and I've saved the client 40 quid, so win-win. That's as much as I can do on this for now. There was no point in me getting these frets polished up or anything because I haven't got the shim made to fit in the neck pocket yet, so I may as well do it all in one fell swoop. So I'm going to drop off this one for a little while and move on to something else. Okay, I changed my mind. I decided to oil the fretboard, just using some regular mineral oil. You guys know it as lemon oil. I've just sprayed a good wedge of it on the fingerboard. I'm going to work it in. Let it work its magic. This will soak into the wood. It'll remove any dirt will float off. And I've got a bit too much on there, so I'm going to go and get a rag, and I'll come back and wipe a little bit of that off. Everyone has a domestic rag that they use for clean up. What I'm going to do is dab a bit of that off. Don't need that much on there, and that's fine. And there you go. I'm going to rub this in and let it work its magic. And then I'm going to wipe this off twice. It'll remove dirt and it'll sort of slightly nourish the wood as well. So that's good. But while that's happening, while that's doing its thing, we can polish the frets. So I need a fingerboard guard. I do have a pack of them somewhere. Definitely in here. Here you go. I'm going to need 2 different ones here. Fingerboard guards. These gubbins here. That protects your fingerboard while you polish the frets. Got one there for the dusty end and one here for the mucky end. There you go, like that. And that's it. And polishing the frets really easy. We can do it with the oil on because we're not going to touch the oil. We'll just straight over the tops of the frets, and that we pinch around the fret. This stops us getting into the fingerboard with the steel wool, because we don't want to put scratches in it. We don't want to go against the grain. And this will bring up the frets to a nice polish. It'll take away all that grime that's on there. And it doesn't take too long. Now, if I'd have been doing a complete fret level, I'd have been polishing these with 7 different grits of sandpaper, from 400 grit through to 2000 grit, then finishing off with steel wool. It's 2.5 hours working that. Because I've used a diamond file on the frets as well, they're not really scratched up, so it's quite easy to polish anything out, because a diamond file doesn't really leave any scratches. It does, it's just very faint. There you go, it doesn't take long at all this. Fresh piece of steel wool this. It's the super fine grade, or grade 0000 if you're the aficionados out there. And it really does bring the frets up to a beautiful glass-like shine. I've had a good day here today. This is the third guitar today. I've completed one off, finished one off. I've got another one ready for refretting, which I'll refret tomorrow. And this one. And I've got another one to do tonight, just to set up on a beautiful PRS custom. So there you go, that's the frets polished. That piece of steel wool will be ready, good for another job yet, so we'll get that out of the way there, we'll keep hold of that. And we'll leave everything there, we'll let that oil do its stuff. I'll leave it 10-15 minutes. Once I've wiped that off, we're ready for making the shim. Now, like I say, I've not made the shims yet. I've got to find out where my maple veneers are, and I'm going to make some shims. I'm going to do that tomorrow, I think, before I go away. I'm not working Wednesday, I'm having Wednesday off. Me and my wife and the dog are going to the coast like we did last Wednesday. Went to Whitby last week, we're going to Skegness this week. Next week we're both getting tattooed, and then Wednesday following that we might go over drive down to Lowestoft or Great Yarmouth or somewhere on the Wednesday. We don't know yet, but anyway, that's it for now. So back soon with this one tomorrow. Hello friends. Right, Jazzmaster guitars. There's a big problem with Jazzmasters and Jaguar type guitars by Fender, and that is there's not enough brake angle from the bridge to the tremolo. And when you start hitting the strings quite hard, they fall out of the slots on the bridge, on the saddle. So what we have to do is we have to shim the necks. And we shim with the cheese wedge type shim. So we lean the neck backwards, raising the height of the bridge, having to raise the saddles, and gives us a better brake angle coming over the bridge there. So I'm going to start making my own shims. Because if you go onto Stumac, you can buy them. But I think they're about £17 each delivered. It's a little piece of maple. So I had some maple knocking about, a strip of maple veneer, and I've cut it up and I've took 2 pieces and I've glued them together because it wasn't quite thick enough. It was about 0.6 of a mil thick, and I need bigger, fatter shims than that. So I've glued 2 pieces together using regular tie bond, and this is more or less the result. And I have it here, and there you go, and that gives me a nice thick veneer to use as a shim. Now the thing is, I need to make these into a cheese wedge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run these over my belt sander and just run that kind of way and just get it really thin at one end. I'll get 2 lots out of this. The reason I'm not cutting it in half is I'm going to thin one end here and I'm going to thin the other end there, and I'll cut it down the middle, and I've got a thick piece in the middle and going down to 0 at the end, and that will give me 2 shims for 2 Fender guitars. I've actually got one in today, so that's why I'm doing it. I'm hoping the thickness is going to be enough. I already glued these 2 together. Then I checked it all glued nice. Then I came, trimmed it and clamped them back together again. So I'm hoping that's going to be good enough. Got a decentish thickness there. If not, I'll use 2 of them on one job. But what I'll do is I'll shape this to a fender neck pocket and I'll drill 4 holes in there for the screws. And that's it. I'm not paying 15, 16, 17 quid for a shim from Stumite when I can make my own. Like these. And they're not perfect. There's a bit of a glue bubble in there, but it'll be fine for what I need. So I'm going to set up my, I'm not going to do it now because it still needs to dry, so I'm going to leave it another day. In fact, I'm going away tomorrow, so I'm going to leave it 2 days. And once it's done, I'll make my own shims for this Jazzmaster down here, and we can solve the problem with the bridge. And there you go. I've now shaped the shim to the neck heel by drawing around the neck. And there you go, you can see it's really thin at this end, and I've tapered it in a little, just so we can get a nice even taper along the whole length. Now, I don't have my drill. That's at home, I didn't bring it today. I forgot I need it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop a bit of glue in here. And I'm going to just attach that with a tiny little bit of tight bond, which will hold it in place so I can get it in and just force the screws through. I've got to answer that, so I'll be back soon. With the neck now shimmed, we're able to get the bridge quite a bit higher, giving us a much better brake angle over the bridge down to the tremolo. So we're going to restring the guitar. And again, this is going to take me a while. I'm going to do most of this again off camera. I love these Squier tuners, by the way, where you stick the end of the string in the insert there. It just works really, really well. And you all know I'm a fan of wraps around posts. A couple of wraps on the first 3 strings and 4 or 5 wraps on the last 3. But we're doing this from bottom E to top E. So let's have a look at the action there and the brake angle. Well, the brake angle's a lot better. That's really good. Oh, that's really nice. A little bit low on there. So we get, yeah, a much better brake angle now. I still don't like this bridge at all, but nothing I can really do about it. I would have liked to have seen collar inserts in there. So I'll just bring this bridge up to where I think it ought to be. Yeah, that looks to be about right, and that's giving us a much better brake angle. Something Squier and Fender need to look at on these guitars, I think. Set of 942s going on here, Ernie balls, is what the owner of the guitar supplied. So that's what we're going with. The only problem with raising the bridge on this is the strings are going to be quite a bit further away from the pickups. Are we able to bring these up sufficiently high enough? So I think we'll be okay. But there you go. Now the shim I've put in there is more flat than cheese wedged. It is cheese wedged, but I was not able to do it on my sander because I've had a lock break on one of my storerooms and I can't get in it. I'm going to have to either drill it out or get a locksmith or something. The owner of a building says just drill it out. But if I can't drill it out, or if I start to drill it out and still can't get in, I've still got to get a locksmith and then it's going to cost me more. But anyway, that's a story for another day. All being well, this will fix the problem we had. With the brake angle over the bridge. Sorry, I stopped. Paused momentarily there. I do like these tuners. I've always liked these type of tuners. They just work, and they work really well. very, very hot today, really warm in here. I'm going to get my fan sorted out in here for tomorrow. So hot. Went to the coast yesterday, it's 29 degrees, I got sunburnt. Back, shoulders, arms. Own fault, of course. But I'm feeling it today. It's so warm in here. Anyway, pleased to hear I'm going to a dentist in an hour. First appointment for a number of years. Really looking forward to that in this heat. Anyway, I'm going to crack on, I'm going to get strings on. When I've checked everything, I'll bring you back in and let you know how everything is going with the shim. With the shim in place, we've got got a much better brake angle because we had to lift the bridge a couple of mil higher. The neck is slightly tilted back now, which is great. I've just set the intonation, which is a lot easier to set with the bridge higher. Don't know what was causing the intonation problem before, but these were way out. These saddles, but I've got them all absolutely bang on now. The problem with this bridge is it moves too much, and I've got it set right in the middle. It's quite easy to knock it and tip it forwards or backwards with the hand. It's not so much now I've got the better brake angle on there, but these bridges need a rethink from Squier, in my opinion. That's why I've always replaced mine with a stage trend bridge. Anytime I've bought a Jazzmaster, it's a common upgrade. But anyway, what I've done is I've set the action a little bit high at 12th fret. I normally go 1.5mm gap between the top of the fret, bottom of the string on the treble side, and 1.75 on the bass side. But I've swapped it for 1.75 there, 2mm there. That's because we're going to cut the nut slots after I've stretched the strings in. Once I've stretched the strings in and determined I've got the right amount of relief in the neck and the right action at the 12th fret, then we will come and look at the nut slots and get those sorted. So I'm now happy with everything. Like I said, we corrected the brake angle by putting a shim under the neck. Set the action at the 12th fret. I've got the right amount of relief in the guitar. So the last thing to do after we've set the intonation, which I've already done, is to cut the nut slots. And I do like to give them a measure. And on this side, again, the space is from the top of the fret to the bottom of the string. I like to be 0.3mm on the bass. We're a bit higher there. And 0.2 on the treble. Bear with me while I find my 0.2, which is right there. So 0.3 on the bass side, 0.2 on the treble side. We can make a little bit of adjustment on each because we're high on both sides. Just takes 0.2 again on here. So okay, so I'll be using my Hosco nut file set. This is an 11 set, it's brilliant. And you notice I've got my 10 and my 13 on there. They are both in the Stumac holders to stop them going all wibbly wobbly and caving in on themselves. Now, because we're using a 942 set, we don't have a 9, we don't have an 11. So for the 9 I'm using the 10, for the 11 I'm using the 13. For the 16 I'm using the 16. 24, 32, 42. So we're going to start with the 42. Now the great thing about these Hosco files is they are steel, and they are the correct size, and they cut a perfect half circle shape. Actually with 0.042, which is this one. And all I'm going to do is, with the guitar plugged into the tuner, I'm going to check the height, see how much I need to remove. And we can go a little ways on there. So I'm going to remove the string, take the file, get myself a clean cloth, a rag, make sure, give it a wipe, make sure it's clean, and all we're going to do is level with the neck. We're just going to make sure we don't scoot into the frets, and we're just going to carve in a couple of strokes, and the last one we're going to angle slightly towards the tuner or the machine head. And there you go, see a bit of dust there, so I know we've cut in. And we're going to make small cuts, and we're going to check, bringing it back into tune. And then taking another measure. And we're going to be listening for a slight buzz. So again, making small cuts. And measure again. Make sure we've got the 0.3, in fact I'll put 0.2 away. We're still not getting that buzz yet. I think think we might now because we've got a little bit of dust fly out there. Great thing about his classic vibes is that they do come stock with a bone nut. Just starting to buzz and I'm happy with that. Move on to the A string. Want it's a bit less, want this about 0.28. So we're going to move the string out of the way. We don't need to remove a lot there. We're going to clean the file, put it away, take the next correct file, .32. Don't need to remove a lot on this one, so nice and gentle. Just a few gentle cuts there. Measure again. Not buzzing yet, but we want more of a buzzer with this one because we want to go a little bit deeper. Again, take your time. If you remove too much material, you'll be replacing the nut. You don't want to be doing that. Happy with that, it's buzzing a little bit more, so we're going to take the 0.25 for the D string, because I need that to be about 0.26, so I'll get the right feeler gauge. Here we go. We don't need a lot of adjustment, these. Okay, put the file away, get the next one. So we want the 24 next. 42, 32, 24, 16, 11, 9. 24 for the D string. Again, this doesn't need to be cut a lot, but we need to bring it a bit lower. Nice and steady. So 0.25 on this one, just a gentle buzz. We're not there yet, so we'll go a little bit more. That's looking good. I've also stretched the strings in, by the way. Perfect. Moving on to the next, which is the 16. So got a small way to go with that one. Clean the file, put it away, then it's ready for next time, you see. Anyway, I'm going to do the next three off camera, because you get the idea of how we do it now. Once I've got to the height I like, we're going to be nice and low, just above this fret, and when we play a chord, we're not going to be going sharp in any of these lower down areas, because we're not stretching the string too much. We're nice and close. We could go lower, it's just that's the standard setting I like to set. Well guys, and we are all done with this Squier Classic Vibe Jazzmaster. Is it Classic Vibe? Yeah, it is. Sure it is. And there you go, beautiful. So what we've done with this, well, it needed a fret level, which we've sorted out. But the biggest thing was to shim the neck. And I've hand made a shim, which you'll just see there. And it's brought the neck slightly back, but it's certainly brought it higher, which means we had to raise the bridge, which in raising the bridge, we've now increased the break angle from the bridge to the tremolo on the strings, which now will stop the strings popping out of the saddles. We've set the action, set the amount of relief, we've set the intonation, we've cut the nut slot, so we had a complete setup as well. So the guitar is now ready to go. Now ideally, I would have loved to have cut the shim properly on my bandsaw, but I've got a lock broke in one of my storerooms and I can't get in it. So I can't get into my belt sander, so I've had to do it by hand. So it's a little bit flatter than I would have liked, but it's still going to do the job really well. One more thing I need to do before I let the guitarist or the owner have the guitar back is just move these pickups up a little bit, because I remembered I've not lifted them up any higher. But that is it for all intents and purposes. This guitar is done. It plays really nicely. Sounds very, very good plugged in. And the strings are going to stay in the slots. So another one done. Going to move on to the next one. Before I do, I need to remind you my website. Facebook.com/NG17. That's Facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. I'm Victor. I am your fret friend. And until the next time, as always, God bless you. Be good to each other. And I'll see you next time.